It's often claimed that you can't have morality without God. In the most basic sense, this claim is obviously false, even on theism. Atheists can and do have moral values and perform moral actions, all without believing in God. Popular proponents of moral arguments admit this. But what many people mean when they say this has more to do with whether we can ground morality without God in any meaningful way. It's claimed that on atheism there is no way to do this because objective morality must be fundamentally dependent on God to be coherent. There are various ways an atheist could respond to this claim. The first option is to just say, so what? Suck it up, buttercup. Facts don't care about your feelings, and the like. It could be argued that there are good reasons to reject standard notions of objective morality. And you might want to say with Mackie, we can find satisfactory biological, sociological, and psychological explanations of moral thinking which account for the phenomena of the moral sense and conscience in natural terms, and leave it at that. Even if we do reject standard notions of objective morality, it could be argued that there are still objectively better or worse ways to achieve subjective goals that people share. Another option for atheists who fall in the traditional moral realist camp is to argue that grounding the good in God's nature is more problematic than any of the alternatives, especially for religious theists. Let's first consider how we would come to know if objective moral values and duties exist, if they exist in the first place.
What reason would we have to believe that objective moral values and duties exist? Well, basically, it would be our moral experience. Just as we believe in the world of sense objects around us, physical objects, because we have a sense of them through our senses, so we can believe in the objective reality of moral values and duties on the basis of our moral experience. In the absence of some reason to defeat your experiences, you're justified in believing in what those experiences teach you.
For Christian theists who want to take the Bible at face value, this is highly problematic, as I've pointed out elsewhere. If Craig can use his moral experience to get to the existence of objective morality in the first place, then surely any moral realist, theist or not, can use their moral experience to reject as immoral the counterintuitive moral monstrosities that are depicted in the Bible. For example, slavery and genocide. Erik Wielenberg highlights another problem of making morality fundamentally dependent on God if we trust our basic moral intuitions. Notice that the dependency thesis implies that nothing distinct from God is intrinsically good or evil. It is impossible for anything distinct from God to be intrinsically good or evil. This is because intrinsic value is the value a thing has in virtue of its intrinsic nature. Pain, for example, seems to be an intrinsic evil. It is evil in and of itself. Its badness is part of its intrinsic nature and is not bestowed upon it from some external source. Yet the theist who accepts the dependency thesis must reject this. Put another way, there's a tension between how we would come to know that objective morality exists in the first place and the bill of goods many theists are trying to sell you. If we come to know the good through moral perception and intuition, then I would suggest it's intuitively commonplace to locate badness in facts about a given situation, and only later come to be convinced that those facts on their own would be completely irrelevant through some weird theistic metaethical theory. Saying that moral perception and intuition are sufficient to accept the existence of objective morality, but then saying they are totally unreliable when it comes to locating what makes things right or wrong seems like trying to have your cake and eat it too. I'm just scratching the surface here. So for an in-depth overview of why grounding the good in God is deeply problematic, see the links in the description. And while we're on the topic of morality, here is a playlist highlighting various moral problems in the Bible.